Aleksandra Vučić joins us tonight from Belgrade. Mr. President, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us here on the show. You heard what the Prime Minister of Kosovo said on my show. We played a little clip there for you, calling protests a fascist militia. Your response, sir?
Thank you very much, first of all, for having me tonight. And just wanted to say that his words, everything that we heard, it's not just strong accusations. It's a bit of cursing, and it's also speaking more about the man that pronounced that was saying that, than about people. And just to make it very clear, and there are just two things that are important. Your guest was speaking about non-implementation of previous agreements. Serbs implemented everything from the first agreement dating from April 2013. And there was only one obligation on Kosovo side, on Pristina side, and that was creation or formation of ASM, of Association of Serbian Municipalities. And they didn't deliver on that, and they didn't want to do it, and they still don't want to do it. It's a part of new arrangements as well. And the second issue were those elections. And he said it's a low legitimacy, 3.4%. It's a sham elections. And my question to you is, have you ever heard of any other elections calling them legitimate, legal, with a turnout of 3.4%? And he's actually naming 97% of the people in the north as fascist militia, criminal gangs, ultra-nationalists, bribed people, blackmailed people. Like, there is 3% of people that you can do that with them, but not 97% of people. And what actually happened? Serbs, what they look for? They look for security and certainty for their families, for themselves. And since Albin Kurti came to power, we witnessed 353 attacks based on or ethnically motivated, and it's the biggest number of assaults, biggest number of attacks against Serbs since 2008, when they did that self-proclamation of Kosovo's independence. And I need to add, just because you cannot refute these kind of curses, but you can do a factual side. Just from the beginning of this year, we faced 5 shootings against Serb civilians, 6 including the yesterday one.
Mr. President, let me
including 2 kids that were shot.
Get a question in here, because I've got quite a lot of questions that I think our viewers would also want answers to, so important right now. Of course, the tensions arose because the majority, like you said, of Serbs in these municipalities refuse to vote in the local election. Kosovo's Prime Minister told me yesterday on the show the turnout was low because of the pressure and the blackmail from Belgrade. So let me put this to you. Did you ask them to boycott this election?
No, that was their decision, but you need to know something else, because that's why I wanted, thank you for this question. That's why I wanted to explain the factual side of the issue. You need to know that Serbs before 2013 have never ever participated in Kosovo or Pristina's organized elections. Then we agreed upon that. Then Serbs participated 4 times in those elections. And there has never been any problems. Since Albin Kurti came to power, he was banning Serbs to participate in a referendum process which was organized by Belgrade. He banned them to participate in Serbia's parliamentarian election. But more than that, and more importantly, he did not deliver on creating Association of Serb Municipalities, which was a precondition for Serbs. Even 10 years ago, 11 years ago, to participate in local and parliamentarian elections in Pristina.
So given this, how do we then de-escalate these tensions? How do we stop these protesters from this violence that we've seen? How do we then de-escalate, Mr. President?
Once again, thanks for this opportunity to say what is our attitude. We were very dedicated in calling Serbs to stay calm and to stay tranquil and to do everything to stabilize the situation which was destabilized by Pristina's regime. And even after everything that happened 2 days ago, and one Serb was shot with 2 bullets in his back, and still it's not certain what's going to happen with him. And you didn't hear it anywhere. And we do regret the fact that there were some NATO soldiers injured. And that's what we publicly said immediately after it happened. Yesterday and today, we faced very peaceful. We faced very peaceful protests, and there were physicians, nurses, teachers. Everybody was protesting. Were those people blackmailed by someone? No. Those people, they just want to see Kosovo Special Police Forces withdrawing from those premises that has never ever belonged to them.
We will talk about that, but let me ask this: you're calling
illegitimate and illegal mayors as well.
You're calling for calm, Mr. President. Is that call for calm also going to those northern municipalities? Do you have control over those protesters?
I don't have any kind of control, but I believe that most of those people will always show respect to the state of Serbia. And what we can do with our international interlocutors, with our partners from European Union, United States, all the others from all over the world, is that we need to have a stable region.
Yeah.
Why I'm saying this? Because Serbia, when I say Serbia, it means 50% of overall Western Balkans economy. It means 63% of attracting foreign direct investments of an entire region. We don't need any kind of escalation. What we need is peace.
And
that's why we proposed an open Balkan initiative. And that's why we need
to see, of course,
to have freedom of movement and everything else.
No one wants to see, Mr. President, an escalation here. I don't think anyone's calling for an escalation. But let me just ask you this. Look, our colleague kind of broke down for us what's at the heart of this. And it's the fact that Serbia doesn't recognise Kosovo as an independent and sovereign nation. What would it take, Mr. President, for Serbia to acknowledge Kosovo's independence?
It's not anymore even a question, because if you noticed what we were speaking about through Franco-German plan, what we were speaking about in Ohrid, it's about normalization. It's a process of normalization. That's a precondition for Serbia's future progress on its EU path. And that's the same. That's the same for Pristina as well.
And sovereign nation, sir.
I didn't hear your last question. Sorry, but
my question was: do you acknowledge Kosovo as an independent and sovereign nation?
We do acknowledge United Nations Charter and UN resolution, and that's what we do, but we are always ready to discuss all the compromising solutions. We have always been ready for that, and we'll always do it. The real issue is why someone is trying to escalate the situation. You mentioned, let's say, President Putin, and I can tell you that I heard even in your medias and many other medias that Serbia, under the instruction of President Putin, will attack that and that country, that and that entity. And of course, it did not happen.
It never came out of my mouth. None of that has ever come out of my mouth. So just to be clear, let me ask you this, Mr. President.
I understood you wrongly.
The US ambassador to Kosovo has said, and I'm going to read out, "We have asked Prime Minister Kurti very directly to take immediate steps to achieve a de-escalation in the north. He has not been responsive to those requests." So let me ask you this. You have put, Mr. President, the armed forces on the highest level of combat readiness. What is then your red line?
We are very much satisfied with the recent statements made by Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. We are we believe that it was a very accurate statement made by French President Emmanuel Macron, and we believe that they said the things in a way that is very substantive to everything that is ongoing, that is happening in Pristina or in North Kosovo in particular. Speaking about Serbia's obligations, we act 100% in adherence with Kumanovo Agreement, military technical agreement that we made with NATO, with KFOR, Resolution 1244. We did not enter the territory of Kosovo with one single soldier. We did not violate any international regulation. We are very strict about it. And we have a good, very professional cooperation with NATO troops in the field. Yesterday we had talks with the commanders in the field, but also with the commander-in-chief in Mons, in Naples. And so far I have had thousands of discussions and conversations with Jens Stoltenberg, and I believe that we'll be able to maintain that kind of a very, very professional collaboration and cooperation. Even today,
Understood.
Just let me add this.
Go ahead.
You had a big statement made by our Orthodox Brotherhood from very famous monastery Decani, and they were saying very best things about Italian contingency of NATO troops which were protecting that monastery from Albanian attacks in last 15 years, even more than that. Yes, almost
Mr.
25
President,
years.
very briefly, because we're running out of time, unfortunately, a very busy hour. What is your message to those protesters in the north of Kosovo? What are you telling them tonight?
I know that those people are very determined. Those people are very decisive to fight in a very peaceful way for their rights, for their basic rights. They just want to survive on their thresholds. They just want to have their own rights to keep their names and surnames, to keep their faith, and to live there where they used to live an entire life. And my just small advice and my plea for them is always to do it peacefully.
Yeah.
To do it peacefully, to do it calmly, and to keep tranquility and stability for all of us. We need to speak to Albanians. We need to create an arrangement, the real arrangements that will be implemented in the future.
President
But
Vučić.
on the other hand, I call an international community for a decisive action to be taken against those who are stubborn and who are actually escalating the situation in the ground and who are putting in jeopardy peace and stability of all of us, of an entire
Mr.
Europe.
Vučić, President Vučić, I appreciate you taking the time to speak to us tonight. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.